Jey Judan Zoji Jono Lai Jangchub Barda Dana Jabsum Dage Chiche Jebe Tonam Je Rola Pensha Sanje Rambarisho Sanje Judan Zoji Jono Lai Jangchub Barda Dana Jabsum Dage Chiche Jebe Tonam Je Rola Pensha Sanje Rambarisho Sanje Judan Zoji Jono Lai Shangje Bada Dana Jasam Je Dage Chiche Jebe Sonam Je Dola Penja Sanje Draba Sho. Good morning again. It's wonderful to see all of you again. You know, His Holiness teaching last night, someone asked, like this year, there's so many bad things happen one by one. Like Australia, I think the beginning of the year, they're on a big fire. And after, the pandemic, COVID-19, he asked, what's happened, what to do? This is our karma as with Buddhism. Therefore, like that. Therefore, collection karma is, and also he said, this is maybe time to change the world. We Tibetan Buddhism experience Zamling Shewa Tagya. I don't know. Not Zamling Shewa Tagya, and that Tadan Zamlatina Chigres, Chichinata Paji, Pa Tanjuiti injuries.
So in Buddhism, it is said that there are 100 billion world systems. And so our world is one of those world systems. And maybe it is time for this world to disintegrate.
Cheta Kandar Tendegi and the Ngu Netan Seganamend, Mubu Netzel Tende, Samatana, and to Sembachara Matu Pengesarwa.
So if we think about these facts, then maybe it will help to not disturb our mind.
She any London Dogo Medo, Malande Go Medo, and the Ku Cheson, Mu Cheson, Jangchub, Samdana, and the Pentomela, and the Tigia, the Novambo, she was.
So otherwise, if we just keep thinking, I don't want this, I don't need this, or he did it, or she did it, and so forth, then that will only create more and more problems.
Ani tene kalab nenga chilagano da ngaraso namba kanji so iche yongesu ani jusu dromala so tap ani domin changa da trichena tende pengare ani nge baina kadina tende chigyo songso.
And another advice His Holiness gave, was that if you have faith in Tara, then you should recite Tara mantra and pray to Tara. And he said he himself, does that, and so it would be definitely helpful to do that.
Okay. Cheda tende imbainza tende da zongun tane ane ngunju tembe namtri jinju deje nyamne somada. Ta tande kewa tamba mo tende ki tuchi molula tene. Ane ta tanda nganzo kese nawa ina himewade. Ane ta tende ki tume jamrigo injero was ngaraso ngone ya iche yo kade na soba tap tende ta tende le koale ne degi ora shen junum sada dodo nganzo tuti yongo mare.
So just like saying the previous teacher's biography, and the later students or disciples practice. So that's like following whatever the teacher did according to their life story or biography. And then the disciples later follow that practice. So anyway, so because of that, because of doing those practices, and by the kindness or the blessings of the Guru and Three Jewels, many of us, we are very happy and healthy, not sick. And even if we are sick, haven't died. And so it's all because of the blessings and the prayers of the Gurus and Three Jewels.
제자 아니 저 레베 쇼강 연바다 삼다나 가서 삼다사 망보라고 제 가서 멜레베 차장장 삼다나 그뒤나 가서 셈라고 고아라도 말이.
So if we think about the positive side, then there are many positive things we can think of. And of course, if we think of the negative side, then there are so many also. And that will not be of any help to think of those things.
Okay. 어디지 다 되는 뭐 보시면 다 가서 공작이 됐어.
Okay, so not going to talk too much. We'll rather do meditation, right?
제자 아니 다 대한 가서 다 신의 공부해 볼게요. 아니 다때 그 미바 미나마다고 거서도 그래. 이나다 샤상으로 뭐 담보된 가서 담보된 데 빼는 것이 뭐래. 아니 당간sol에 빼나 신의라 톰덕은 다 대파 안 덤바 아니 존데 아니 팅도도 다 담보던 가서 여여바로 왔어.
So, so there are like 9 stages, of the calm abiding. So, like as we, plan, we're going to do a calm abiding meditation every week, right? Every time when we get together for a couple of minutes, and so there are like the 9 stages of calm abiding. Of course, as we develop, we can go further and further on that. But first of all, most important thing is to have faith, and to have the aspiration. And then with that, make an effort. So these 3, I think we can say we have.
Yes. And tani nyeba tambo pana danga jeba la jor. Danga jeba de kanchi mikte suzugu semne mikte da last waina ani ta nyeba to le de gote. Ina yangjo temba che go gore.
And then so there are 5 faults that obstruct or hinder from obtaining calm abiding. And the first of which is forgetting the instruction, forgetting the object. And so the object of your meditation, or not being able to set your mind firmly on that, and keep on forgetting that. So that's the first of the 5 faults.
제가 다 대단한 것도 마음보 연구래. 나 제자 아니 라와이나 양조 추상로당, 양조 추상로당 다 소속 간제. 니쿠도 마데 니쿠에서로 왔다가 마데와치 아니 텔라야 셈데 담보치 아니 세오지 샤바치고 대ペ내가 좀 차다게 그래.
And so it is normal, for us to forget our object. Means like lose the object of your meditation very easily. So, but we have to realize that. We have to find out that I'm losing, and then you have to come back, bring it back again. And then you will lose it, and then you will bring it back again. So you keep on doing that, and eventually it will become more and more stable. So the most important thing is to try to hold it as much as possible, to have a clear, appearance of the object.
제당도 빠지 까만 뉴스 공고요. 까만 뉴스나 지지나 지나서 까만 뉴스라 테만 뉴스라 빠지 밑에 라에 손도 그래서 이나 개말에 양주
So we are supposed to, like according to what we said, the time before, we're going to do meditation for about 20 minutes, right? 20 minutes on calm abiding, and in that 20 minutes, maybe you will lose the object 20 times. So it's okay. You can just lose it and then bring it back again. Lose it, bring it back. So keep on doing that. Then maybe as you do more and more, then it will become less and less losing of the object.
아니 삼로 셴바다 마데다 대내가 셴보레스와 곧 이거는 양 셴바 섬도나 되는 죽으로 그래.
The most important thing is to not think about other things. So if you think about other things, then your mind will go towards that thing. So don't lose this and don't think about other objects.
제가 어때 그 밑에 쇼나 겸이나 쇼나 되네 려 마셔봐지 양조 특기 어떻게 저걸 다 되는 거 저거래.
So at the beginning, it's okay to lose the object, but if you lose it, then don't forget to bring it back again. So just keep on bringing it back.
Okay. 어떻게 다돼 곰자다 지지. 다 된대게 당보가도 곰 수수 냠내 야보 영화 발치마요 쳐다 아니 다다나 쇼경도 잠도 샘제 아니 라다라 말로 소와다가 되다 아니 지금만 된 사고를 왔어.
And so in order to have this practice done well, we did some prayers this morning, right? Starting with taking refuge, generating bodhicitta, 7 limb prayers, making requests to the gurus and deities, and so forth. So all this will help to be more successful in our practice.
다 대카는 내가 좀 안에 섬라야 아니 지금 가지 맞는 거 다다니베 섬제 탐죠 아니 지금 펜도요 아체데 아니 소소고 곰냠네 야보 용화 쇼 대용화라 아니 라당 알라마 아니 진제라로 나세 아니 대가도 까마지스 곰 아니 대주들아 아니 가도 우근종 바당 취당 직전에 아니 바지 까마카시지 대곰 아니 대타요질라 다 곰고네 대 아니 가상에도 쉬인 바타 신의 곰백을야 아니 샤당 아니 셈라 곰바다 아니 지다 도다 드네담라 곰몽버 당가도 남베치나 아니 산지 좀 된데고 군라 구드네 곰고 그래서 대양 안지 호가 나바도 이바치 아니 지 주고 사고요서 같은데 단다 산지 좀 된데 수수 급버다 얘네 되게 간에 지 되게 나지 지라 판제도 어떻게 지라 삼었다 다 다라 칼라 셈샤 대양 그룹 찾아면은 담보 쉐레 주볼라다 되네 차라다 야 쉐레라다 두 진짜 대랑이 간라 되고 다때 나도 가만히 유슈를 되고 다시.
And so we can start with the motivation and thinking that I'm going to do this practice or meditation on calm abiding in order to gain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And for that, may all the gurus and deities bless me to be able to do this practice. So that thought, then you do the breathing meditation. So have that thought for about a minute, and then with that thought, then do the breathing meditation to bring your mind to one place, right? Just focus on a breath. And so you do that for about a minute, the 9-round breathing meditation. And then once you have done that, then you start the actual meditation on calm abiding, where you choose the object. It usually can be any kind of object, piece of rock, piece of stick, or anything. But in Buddhism, we are encouraged, for the creating of merit and to leave positive imprint in our mind. We are encouraged, to visualize a Buddha's statue or Buddha's image. And so usually, we'll think about the actual Buddha, who has a form of a light and so forth. But in this case, you don't have to think like that. You just think the solid object, like a statue or an image, the picture. So just try to have that image, that picture of the image or the statue clear in your mind. And so if you find hard to focus on the whole object, then just focus on a part of the statue. Like start with the face part, and then you expand. And then if you find difficult to go over all that whole body again, then bring it back to just the face part, or even in the face, just the eye or nose, and then mouth, and then like that you can expand that way. But try to hold your mind on that object only. So that we're going to do for about 20 minutes.
아니 대양 못하바다 깨치마다 된데서마다 다라 갈라 샘 다라 갈라 샨데 그래서.
And so don't think about anything else like death and impermanence or the karmic law causing. So don't think like that. Just hold that object only in your mind.
아니 대 소주 샘 대갈라 야보지 샤터와 있나 아니 삼노당다 셴바도 마용와 치고도 까고 말아. 그걸 라시고 까려고 그랬어.
So depending on how well you are able to set your mind on that object, if you're able to set your mind well on that object, then other thoughts will not come. You don't have to think, I'm not going to think like that. You don't have to block those thoughts. And if you set your mind firmly on the object, then other thoughts will not come.
오케이. 어디 야 그새 라와나 양조 셴바 섬다 마데스. 아니 야 다로 지가 지치와 지키오다.
So again, like I said before, if you lose the object, don't get carried by other thoughts. Bring it back, to that object again.
오케이. 당에 담보식 동기 대동거랑 가서잖아. 다 희니때 저 전업대도 니바데 동가라 아니 오은종은 대금 선바동 가라 아니 간서 단대 신의 거는 것 중이다.
So during the first ring, you meditate on that setting up of motivation, where you request for the blessings from the Guru deity to be able to do this practice, right? And then the second ring, meditate on the breathing, do the breathing meditation. On the third ring, then you start the actual meditation on calm abiding. Okay?
오케이. 다다는 창사 추라고 동거나 동세. 근데 삼다대가 갈라 대마도나 야보여래.
So right now, if you want to drink some water or something, then do it now. But when you are meditating, better not do those things. That will be also distraction.
오케이. 아니 대타다 간지 되거나 단단히 흘려대. 아니 검제에 갈라야 수보도 지워 잡고 말. 선타랑 치대 답시고 그래서.
And then also sitting position, sit in the most comfortable position that you feel now. Then sit in that, keep on sitting on that position. Don't change the position, sitting position during the meditation. Then that will also distract your mind.
Okay. Ready? Okay. Okay. Like about 15 minutes. I think 20 minutes too long, you guys. Some people fall sleeping. How's it? It's too long? 제가 다 단단하고 소소 나를 요한자 다 곰자한테 빼야 버려. 나도 내리 지금 루룩 쳤나 되게 괜찮네. 야, 용거를 봐. 곰 자고 서나 따다지 말 하는 거도.
So this is a good situation right now, to do meditation, right? When you're by yourself at home. Otherwise, when we're in a group, and even if we kind of make a plan to meditate, it just doesn't get to do that. So this is really good time to do this kind of meditation.
근데 담보 검제에 관련된 연구에서 봐야 돼. 아니 샘데 미발라 샤tam마데 아니 전체마다 왔지. 아니 미바 셴바이 레고들. 대갑랑 가서 산다야 알레 녜절라 찍거로. 미바 셴바 뭐 샤근도 삼나 대인사 말에. 대집에 갈라 아니 그 샘데 템보네 원자 아니 미바 아니 그러고 무슨 바스 어디라고도 왔어. 무슨 배 따라해서. 근데 좋아할래나?
So when you're focusing on one object and then the other object appear to you, and then at that time instead of going into the other object, if you think that other objects come in my mind, other objects come in my mind, then you are kind of recognizing your object of meditation.
진짜 코티 니바드케 다 니바다 간데 어두치는 양조 파 안다라 곰들이 두치는 공공도
So when other objects come into your mind, then instead of focusing on that, then you keep focusing back to your actual object. But you have to recognize that that other object is coming, but no, this is my object, and that's why you have to go back.
다 등에도 공부를 니바 침보 쓰면은 다 담보 레로래 다 가서 소리다 레로데 이거 매봤지. 아니 니바데 당아 제바나 아니 미바데 쇼로 되레스. 아니 대니 니바니래. 대니가 다 소리 무슨 맞제고래.
So the first of the five faults, is the laziness. So laziness is not doing, right? Not having faith, not having the aspiration, not making effort. So and when you have laziness, then you will not do that. When you do those three, then you will get rid of the laziness. So the first one is laziness, and then the second fault is, like I said, forgetting the instruction or forgetting the object.
So legenda 곰제도 걸 칙칙 삼지다 걸라 삼로 셴바지 도되기도 해. 저 소화들 용도 해.
Do you get that experience? Like when you are meditating on an object, then your mind tend to go somewhere else. Do you get that?
제가 조사에 셴바지 타고 나 셴바도 신하고 그래. 제가 될 동아제 발라 그래서.
And so when you when you're focusing on an object, then your mind goes to the different object, and then you go into that, and later you do that. I'm thinking about something else. So that's what we call like forgetting the object or the instruction.
대가라 안에 양조코 티경으로 들어봐.
And at that time, then you have to bring back your mind, to the actual object.
또 다들 제가라 안에 지게 봐. 야 미바드 아니 마 nhập 전에 샘레레도 차도 대사자 맞이나 아니 대신화래서요.
And then sometimes like when you're focused on the object, your mind becomes dull. It's kind of becoming lazy and dull. And at that time, again, that's not good also. So that's.
제가 마보지 대곰라 노르고 대대서 니가요 그랬잖아. 그 세말레레 지금 샤바 마보 샘나 자야 시라 마보 매바지 샘레레지 남도 드라마라 마보 매 차려지 그래. 아니 그 샘세와 대신화래 대사자 맞이나 대를 곰 노르지 아니 야한테는 촐란도 그서도
So your mind, when your mind becomes very relaxed, and then you kind of focus on object, but your mind becomes very relaxed and not really sharp, and sometimes people mistake that with the meditation. So that's called the mental sinking.
아니 다 텔레 타라몽보 단도 강가 슈무고 지라 와 타라몽보요.
So of course there's a different level of mental thinking, like gross, subtle, and so forth. We don't have to go through all that right now.
아니 대지 아니 거바세데 따지 샘친데 답보자 못하죠. 다 대님 다 대가도 하고 그래 와서 전에 많이 와시고 아무로 땅 고치고 정말 신바인 고용하지요.
And then mental excitement. The mental excitement, is like what we usually call the distraction. So when your mind is so distracted, when you're trying to focus on an object, then your mind goes all over the place, and many different kind of object appears to your mind. That's called distraction or mental excitement.
나 곰자원 것도 골라 지 셴바강가 태양하죠. 야만다지 칸데로 제 삼다 셴바강가 세면 고용하죠. 오다 텔레 고파세레. 티원도 마도 고요래.
So when you are trying to do a meditation, you get all kinds of thoughts come into your mind. Or you're trying to do your daily practice, and all sorts of all kind of thoughts come in your mind. That's called the mental excitement.
아니 셀라 옹아 대체고 옹아데 내가 참아서 강강 고용 버렸어. 강강 고파르셔야 돼.
So when you're sitting down to do your practice, then you get all these things that you remember all the things that you have to do. Oh yeah, I have to go there, I have to do this, I have to do that. You remember all those things. So that's distraction.
세상만 로지드네 요새. 아니 미카시기 지 전반 맞고 알랭이 칸에도 지켜줘서 아니 칸된 것보다 아니 생각한 거 태양 거래 되는 거.
So so there's like a saying, some monks, they when they're doing their daily practice, then they remember all these things to do, and then when they're not doing the practice, they forget what they are supposed to do, and then they say, oh, bring back my practice, bring my practice. So then they will start do, and then they will remember all the things that they have to do.
tamdum ngar de ngoden wala kaniro ngotibe kalaya alimi gombano chik yamana tabdano chikiwosam ane ta denema de samchi mege lewa ko jeta yang karete yang korajem ya leo tene mabo yongdos.
So Geshe said it happened to him too. So when he's sitting down to do his practice, then he think about things that he have to do. I have to go down to the kitchen, I have to do this and do that. And then he stopped doing his practice, and then he go down, and then he forget what he was supposed to do there. And then he come back and open his practice, and then he remembers again. Like that.
Rare and rare.
제자 안에 들리면 보이는 거 어때지? 아니 다 시와 다 대니가 가르쳐나 다 아니 예바선 바래 대니바래스.
And so anyway, so that's the third fault for the meditation on karma binding.
다 된대 아니 저기 좀 그래 아니 때 님보 맡아서 코란 다랑 샤샤네 때 이거 말다 될래야 아니 거파셔나 아니 샘 주들이야. 시와셔나 야 샘야 야 가로 야 라야 어째고 그래. 될 님보 맡나 야 니바 시와 찬도 니바레스.
So and then the fourth fault is non-application. We call it non-application. So when the mental thinking or mental excitement arise, then you have to apply antidote, to overcome that, to not have that mental thinking or mental excitement. If you don't apply antidote, then that's called the non-application. So that's a fault also.
다시다 등소변나 샘네 듬바 지와 갑단다 때도 연구였을 때 용초고 연구였을 때 이봐서.
And then, so like we talked about the 9 stages of the karma binding, like even up to like 7, 8 stage, you still get those faults.
아니 니바치데 다야고 네 텐제게 시마도 개발면나 양치 대 모양하고 탑시해야죠. 양대 누가면 따등이죠. 대야 니바레스. 그 시와 시게 내가 이놓고 다 샤샤고 누구면 따위 말했어.
The fifth fault, is called application or over-application. So when you don't have mental thinking or mental excitement, and you're able to focus your mind properly on the object, then you just have to sit that way. Instead there, you say, oh, is mental thinking or mental excitement coming up or not, arising or not, or should I do this or do that? And if you think like that, then that becomes a fault also. So those are the 5 faults.
다 예방하다 가리 용선다 샘네 담보변나 가서 담보 족발라다 당행가서 추도 가만 종아서 곰잡아 대는 족발라다 대냐마 족바세 다 디네가 또 용되게 그래.
So these 5 faults all come during the the first stage of the meditation on the karma binding, or the 9th stage, the first stage. First stage is called the setting the mind. setting your mind into an object at that time, the first stage, and you get all these thoughts.
Okay. 제가 된데 전에 다 대가 아니 네가 왜 연락 제와 제물에 제와 전에 tru로 제와 맞아가지고 거 배는 내려왔다 와이나 코나 다른 걸 셈데 코나 다들 되고다 그냥.
So at this time, when you're setting your mind to the object, you don't do the analysis on the object. You don't analyze the object. You just focus. Whatever you're seeing, if you're seeing this object, then just look at it and then just see it as it is. Don't say it is wide, it is long, it is tall, not like that. Just the object itself.
어제 두 전에 그 대화나 셈 코나 그 지당도 변나 매도 당전에 그 갈래 체크한 거 뒤도 코나 지 연구해서다.
So like that, if you keep on focusing again and again for some time, then your mind will be more and more stable. Just like when you turn on the fire, the water will not boil right away, but eventually it will come to boiling.
Okay. 오두 지나다가도 뭐든지 곰도 잡다 곰도 제도 지나다 그 양 잠잠 benang도 믹섬사나 아니 믹바다진 산제 꾸나 간에 믹샤금도 양 갈래 믹직다 양 믹마좀 양 믹직다 믹마좀 오두 지나도 탑시죠 그래서.
And so like that, slowly, we try to do more and more meditation like that. So if you find it's more comfortable to visualize the object, with your eyes closed, then you can close your eyes. But if you need to see it, then to make the object clear, if you need to see it, you can open your eyes and then look at the object, and then you close your eyes again, and then try to visualize the object as it is.
그때 곰다 뭐 배잖아. 배나 네 갑주들이야. 근데 산책거라도 곰고 그래. 되네지도. 양 잠좀 배나 소소가 때외 타티 가리나. 나로도 와지. 배나 아무 소소 니가도 와지. 산책 좀 내가 그때 내지가 봐 곰. 되니 곰다 뭐 보여 요살다.
So and then again, and also there's different ways you can visualize. Where you visualize, sometimes comfortable to visualize and at the level of your forehead, or and some at your heart. So whichever you feel comfortable, you can visualize that.
제가 내가 제주도 갔나 아니 신의 곰가를 미바드 준 저자면도 저자면 아니 맞아요서 말해. 가디나 가려다 따다 찍라 땅고 그랬대.
So anyway, you have to choose one object and just use that object only. Should not change to different objects.
제가 매당 안도 빼나 신다고 이거 푸나고 이거 푸다 찔러 두자고 갈래갈 푸노 이게 집부 뭐게 집어나 주고 이거 못 보지만 언니 푸고다 붙어 말아 왔는데 나오시.
So it's like making a hole in the wood. If you keep on making a hole on the same spot, then eventually it will make a big hole there, hole there. But if you keep moving here and there and there, and then you won't be able to make a hole there.
Okay. 제가 다 드린 간도 미바데 산지 좀 내가 고지. 대앞에 주고가 나봐도 시다 고용에다 오지는 지금 주고 주윤도 사바키도 같은데 많이 봐지고 그거 대체화지 서로.
And so today, we're thinking about object, like the Buddha Shakyamuni's statue, and not like light and fluffy or can be blown easily by wind, not like that, but something very weighty, something heavy. You can sit stable in your object of meditation.
제가 소수가 미바틀라 가세 공부하든지 아니 때때때때로 그랬어요.
And so how much familiar you become with your meditation, that much more and more clear the object will become to your mind.
Okay, 다들 오다테 들만 로탄로 단 곰고 로탄로 다들 미세 shum고 같이 다들네 다 계산도 다 변나 아니 로조 텐데마고 저 아니 인도든지 최대 봐야 돼. 아니 단전이가 제와 못 봐. 아니 레전드 코비니 무곰. 아니 되네마 아니 다 다전염지 공고요.
And so now going back to our actual teaching on the the mind training, and so the first, we do the preparatory practice, right, which is visual and meditating on the Guru devotion, and then on the prophet and rebirth, death and impermanence, coming law, cause and effect, and the disadvantage of cycle existence.
Okay, 아니 되네마 아니 되제 아니 다 가로 다시 냠바 아라 진데지 쩨 진진데 연대 아니 되네 아니 우중을 챘네 아니 젠지 동아 아니 트일람 바랑게 다고 파타와 어느 드니아보 총송호서 가와금들 고요 왔어.
Then after that, you do the actual meditation, on the equalizing and exchanging self with others. And so there you equalize yourself with others by thinking all sentient beings are equal to oneself, in wanting to be happy and not wanting any sufferings. And after that, then you think about the disadvantage of the self-cherishing attitude and the qualities, the excellent qualities of cherishing others. And on the basis of that, then do the actual exchanging, by doing the practice of Tonglen, where you take the sufferings of other sentient beings upon yourself, and you give your happiness to others on the basis on the basis of the breath, mounting on the breath. So like you inhale, taking all the sufferings and negativities of sentient beings upon yourself, and as you exhale, giving all the happiness and the cause of happiness, the virtues, the actions, and so forth, to others like that.
Okay. 오두 전에다 곰 잡아나 semla ko jawan rogo서 곰 맞아는 것도 배작 된다 하고에나 아니 semla jawan rogo서 말해.
So we have to meditate like that. We have to think and meditate in that way. If we meditate, then that will bring some transformations in our mind. Otherwise, just by studying, of course, we'll come to know, but will not bring any transformation to our minds.
그봐. 칼라도 쪽대 강나 샤지. 아니 마산이 칼라 따지 되는 것도 조자고 말아.
It's just like you bring your food to the table and just keep staring at it and don't eat it, then you will not you will not fill your stomach if you don't eat it, right?
제당도 칼라데 조자서에 봐 신경을 해. 칼라데 심보여 봐 신경을 해. 간지네 사고에 와도 신경을 해. 나는 그 마사나 아니 팽금도 와.
It's like if you eat, you will fill your stomach. The food is to be eaten, and the food looks good, and it's on the table. All this but if you don't eat it, you will not fill your stomach, like that.
다때 땐데 된데 있어. 다 냠내면 가서 빼자 뭐 따버렸다. 저서 뭐 따서다. 아니.
So that's very true, because we have all studied so much, right? You many of you have also studied. You have read so many books. You have studied so many teachings, but will not get any experiences.
Okay. 아니 근데 곰때서 잡 냠내 채나 아니 오니 샘나 강에 treবে 갑라야. 아니 땐데 되게 펜토고도 와.
And so if we are if you do meditations like that, and then it will be really helpful at the times when you fall into a situations.
Okay. 제가 지전에 전화서 바지 아니 곰 잡네 샘나 펜송사 아니 곰 잡을 때는 있는 야보 정소세 바지 냠녀들이 유지래. 아니 맨날 전화도 주신다 근데 고용이로 와.
So many of you might have also have had the experience, right? So by doing meditation, it was very useful in such and such situations, like that. Or maybe you have heard, if you haven't had experience on your own, then maybe you have heard and other people's having that kind of experiences.
제가 또 베일라 라마지래. 아니 라마 된 말로 니통 찍을래야. 또 소로 나선다도. 아니 맨칸으로 다 맨베 다 제게 말. 그냥 소소 삼다야레. 셈바지고 채고레스. 아니 더 파든 참점 로스 라그도스. 아니 매문도스 아니 그런 송도. 아니 슈고다 제스케메 소로 파지파 미게 암조 거나 코로사 되거든 차송스. 아니 다 로종거들 마보코다 로종거 장장 삼로타네 다와 숨쉬지라 아니 차송스 어떤데 냠뇨 소대들 레기도와.
Pillar.
마메 베이라.
And so there was this monk, a senior monk, who developed in Nepal, who developed they call it wind disease, so like a stress and a wind, related with the wind disease. We call it wind disease, but it's more like a stress, and you get very distracted, and your mind is not able to focus. You get very stressed, and you get like what do you call that, tetanus? Like the sound, you keep hearing this sound in your ear, very like sharp, pointing sound, tetanus, and so then that's related with the wind disease. So he went to see the doctor, And the doctor said there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to relax. Don't get stressed. Don't think about other things. Just be relaxed. Go to for a tour to a beautiful places and just relax like that. So that's the only treatment the doctors can give. But then of course he had some an experience on a study experience about this practice of mind training. So he just focused on the mind training practice. And then after doing mind training practice for 3-4 months, then he got completely recovered from that.
오다다 드네로 뭐보여요. 어떤데 제가 아니 냠내 전에다 간데 펜거 요살다. 펜 땡데 요살.
So definitely it will be helpful, if we do the meditations or practices.
어떻게 다 되는 다 되네 아니 선바 쟁이 상절람도 저 봐서들이 다 아니 당은 이 상주의 셈 용화 가로 민도 된지 취템바 이 상주의 셈 용화 인도서 보지 다 선바 쟁이 상절람도 저 봐서들이 로조 된도가 나네.
So with that, so we have gone through that actual generation of the mind of enlightenment. And so first one is the preparatory practice, right? So then actual meditation on developing the bodhicitta. And then after that is taking the reverse to enlightenment.
단디 된다 싶다는데 망보셔야 아니 지금 시당 망보였다 드링아도 뒤서지라면도 고대오로 지나 간지 쟁가 막 간지 쇼와는 수수고 냠래라 만나봐지고 그래서.
So there are many explanations about that. Don't have to go through all of them, but the most important thing is to make sure that whatever kind of situations we fall into, that doesn't obstruct to our practice. That doesn't cause any hindrances to our practice. That making sure of that is more important.
디나니나 아니 지금 삼비 저와도 아니 따위 저와서 다 삼비 저와서 내가 지금 보셔로 삼비 저와서 간지 삼모 따당 거네 아니 저와라 그러was.
And so that's in the what do you call that outline, right? It says the converting unfortunate circumstances into path to enlightenment. And then the two, converting through circumstances through thought and through analysis. So through thought is more important.
Okay. 다 내가도 아니 지 단대게 아니 지 네털 뭐고 그 바지 수수 샘게 강에 뭐지까지 샘 상도당다가 연구 요래서라고 요래서.
Because many of the problems that we face, especially the mental problems that we face, are all created by our mind.
다 대영화대 아니 소수지라 아니 간지 슈첨부 저와데 되게 깨지는 거 그래서라고 그래서.
And all these problems comes because of having a strong grasping at the self-existence or the I.
Okay. 제가 다땡아도 삼로 당와이나 남주변에 가서 가디 바나야. 만주 소소라지 땀년보 미치기 지나나 돌아동화 하거나 만주 샘나 가나 연거래서. 미치기 지나나 콜라지 두아지 거나 아니 샘나 마가시 차로 그래서 만주.
So this is pretty natural, right? So for us to be happy, like when we hear someone praising about us or saying good thing about us, when we hear that, we feel happy, right? And then when somebody says bad thing about us or somebody is criticizing, us, then when we hear that, we feel unhappy.
다들 가르치는 것은 나도질라 난주 삼발라 니절라 난주 슈침보 나도 제가 말해 이나 대간도 침보 슈침보 따라서.
So why is that? Why does this different things said by other people give you a different feeling, right? So whether it's a praise or criticism, right? Why is that? So usually it's because of I. So I say, oh, he said bad things to me. He said good things to me, like that, because of grasping at the self, like that. Usually we don't think that, oh, I have this strong grasping at the self. We don't think like that. But then when you think of the reason like that, then that shows that we have strong grasping at the self.
제가 매 간지는 차도 신동잖아. 미 난지 슈 가세 쳐봤던지 믿을야 아니 간지 미티가 신소는 녀다 마모서다. 코랄라 참부터 마모레그레스.
And so when we have this strong grasping of the self, then that creates more problem for ourselves, and also that create more problems to others in the society or community that we live in.
But that channel 마체다 신소는 내가 체딩을 해요. channel 내가 체색이 보스데 아니 간즈 가시 슈체바 탐지 그 되게 내가 지금서 강에 마체요.
So like you all have the experience of working in a workplace, right? And so however strong grasping of the self, the self-grasping your boss has, that much more problem you will face. Is that right?
그러나 아니다 코라나 뭐라나 코라게 싸마 다라 인스 대 약수 대 인스 대 만드나 저런 지금 뭐도세 곧 지대기로 와 제가 뒤로라 마용 그래서
because that boss who have this strong grasping of the self, who has this strong grasp of self, will think that whatever he or she is thinking is correct. If it's not done in that way, then it's not correct, right?
제가 지금에 저도 보스예요. 저도 보스야 돼 누가 돼.
So maybe you have bosses, and then you might say, "Oh, I have this good boss, bad boss."
제가 간도 배는 됐으면 간도 무게 찍는 록타세진도 같아. 록타세도 인지 민지 간도 레전드 메왔다 왔다 경험을 따오고 말했어. 간지 소소라 따와 진짜 따와 슈치 뭐 대 록타 차대 그래.
So that strong grasping of the self, especially because of that, because of this grasping of the self, then we think that, oh, it should be like this, it should not be like that, and this is what it is. This is how it should be. This is the right, this is the wrong, like that. That kind of strong opinion comes from that, and that's what we call the wrong view. When we talk about the 10 non-virtuous actions, and the 3 from the mind, covetousness, ill will, and wrong view. So, this is one of the wrong view. So having this strong grasping of the self.
제가 아니 대다지 아니 다 단다 대가 따외도 쉬어서 되는 거 응부내수 가려면 봐. 응부내수 가려면 되건데 시작 그랬어. 제가 간도 마음보 응부내서 따다 하모가지. 아니 소수고 강 영화대 아니 만들어지는 용도가 다 뒤쪽이라도 와.
So that's converting circumstances through thought, and the converting circumstances through analysis is by thinking about the reality. And so in reality, it's like this. In reality, it's like, so when you think about the reality, then it says, oh yeah, it's not like that. It's nothing to worry, nothing to be, nothing to be worried about, and so forth. So like that. So that's the second part, right? So converting unfortunate circumstances through analysis.
제가 나공도 배회가 로충식했다네. 장고는 벌써 저한테서 다 대상변한 점블리 다가는 것도 글로벌 워밍에서 연구를 했어. 내 가르치는 용어를 했어. 다 내가 가르쳐 까고 그래. 아니 저한테서 다 가서 남지사마다 다 가서 글로벌 워밍에 미국 소조래 아니 된 잠치고서 남지가도 챙겨려 왔다. 근데 그때 소마서 다들 인제레스 다고 아니 딜라야 가로 네비카와 가로 가로 지비카와 네비카와 지비카와
아니 차베카와
원래 차베카와 네비카와 지비카와 다고 바제 네비카바데 코 존에 다고 지비카와 레긴저레 땡아도 미세케 제스케 요 말레스 아니 가제 두정 마샬라 마테베 아니 나도 더블린 징도 그래 송소 대 나테 내가 이 통송세.
And so during yesterday's teaching by His Holiness the Lama, one of the young Tibetan fellow asked a question about global warming. Yeah? So the global warming, is increasing more and more now, and then what should we do? Yeah, so so usually we say, oh, don't do this, don't do that, and like that's what we would think, right? But His Holiness didn't say that, and instead he talked about the era, like different eras. We call it era of formation, when the era was formed, when the world was formed, and then there is the era of destruction, where the world will be destroyed, and then there is the empty era. So the era and the time when there's nothing will be there. And so 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 His Holiness says, oh, maybe this is the era of destruction, where they got, where the things get destroyed, will get destructed, and so there's nothing we can do about it. So he didn't mention about all this. He just said that. So I saw some point in that.
지나다테 고 응외네트다 고 가로 그래 ngubu 실로 ngubu 로타레스 그냥 안도고 배나 잘라데 간지 잘라 가는 것도 잘라 니마 차르고도 잘라데 니마 마차 제일 개면도 가지 고 배제자마다는 고 감나룩시나 고 니마 자고 두세 정도다 제가 고 코랑 그지 응외네트가 로타데로 같다 나도 제일 개요 말어.
So the important point that I saw that is talking about the reality, right? That's the reality. There's nothing you can do about it. That's the reality. Things get old. Things get old, and if we buy something and we say, oh, it's going to get old, so I'm not going to use it and put it in the box. Will it not get old? It will still get old, right? It will still get old. It will expire. So there's nothing you can do about it. That's the reality. That's the natural state of the things. So there's nothing you can do about it.
내가 그만 드셔야서 그런가 내 개개 계시 사자 섬사대 아니 그만 스라치고 개규교래 다 코로발라 개개 사람의 개규셔와 다 고립가래 점거름지 배겨라 살아라 다 되니까 다 개규고 삽제 잡 뭐 딱 삽제 잡다 나오야 따오래 아니 개개 로봇 딱 아티가 계시 개개 다 샵셰에다가 로판도 되게 아니 디 개규 셴바데 코랄라야 함군 지다 야보 tal pena lochu 생각을 미직제도 아니 기질라게 따때 그 말아왔지 감나루네 따 티니가 사르제네 그런데 그래 다 거기 미게 삽자 나 기시엠바디가 당아도 냠도 줘대 당아 개콘이 샵전에 냠도 줘 그러 다 함고데 그 러름보 사야다 미게 샵도 고운 거서 와 미게 다가도 티가 군디 페레야다 아니 디 람라야 나포데 티 사와사장 티가나 니마 사오쇼차 함고 올레 니마 사가래 개그 미게 자와간가 파트 되다 쟤네 개기가 함고 고들대 아니 미간가 함고 매지 개기 오스치오 거네 가르로 그쳐왔더니 시원한 기실라 날 좋고 함고 님바지 기시가 데키셔다 아니 데킨 만도에 봐 제가 잘라 님바한테 차로도.
So there's this funny story about one of Geshe's teacher, Geshe who was the disciplinarian from the Sera Jey Monastery, and then there was another disciplinarian from the Sera Jey Monastery. Sera Jey Monastery has another disciplinarian. So they're both from Sera, but then there's a Sera Jey and Sera Jey. So Sera Jey is disciplinarian, and Sera Jey disciplinarian will have to work together when there's an event. That's a common event happening. So at that time, His Holiness was coming to the Sera monastery, and so that's like the general Sera, and then there's two particular Sera, Sera Jey and Sera Jey, and then there's a general and a Sera, and so the general Sera was the one who invited His Holiness. So then both Sera Jey and Sera Jey have to work together to organize that. And so during that time, so it's mainly the disciplinarian and are the one who will be conducting the event. And so the disciplinarian will get very well dressed, and then Geshe Satya was the disciplinarian from the Sera Jey, and there was a disciplinarian from Sera Jey. And then this Geshe had a new shoes, but it was kept, for unwear, for a long time. He didn't wear it at all. He just kept it in the box for a long time. So he took it out to wear it during His Holiness Dalai's visit as like a decoration, so to get a new shoes. But then, as it was kept there for a long time, it kind of wore off, right? It got old, and then he was wearing it, and then they had just paved the driveway, the long driveway where His Holiness would come in the car, and it was just paved with asphalt, with a very fresh asphalt, and it was very hot, sunny day, and he was walking with the new shoes, which he haven't worn for long, the old shoes, which he didn't wear for a long time. But then it has worn off, so when he was stepping on it, it got stuck, to the asphalt. And then his sole came off. So it was very funny. So he was kind of like putting on the new shoes, but it became old by itself, right? By itself. That's the reality. It became old by itself, and it came off. The sole came off, and for a long time, he had to walk on his socks. Yeah, so then Geshe Senge said, "Oh, I have the old shoes. Bring my old shoes and give it to him." And then Geshe Ngawang brought the old shoes and give him to wear the old shoes, and they were walking fine.
제자 단다 딱 군디 배도지 다 고소하다도 매 타와강가 방한테 배 내가 사유가라 안 함고대 시합군에 들이 저래.
So it was kind of embarrassing, right? Because as everybody is sitting in a line, to welcome His Holiness, and they have these bodyguards of His Holiness, and everybody's like there, and then in the middle of all that procession, his soul came off from his shoes. It's kind of embarrassing.
제자 거제 제 잘라는 고소 되게 좋아해도 되게 좋아해나 아니 그 가게 마도 제트 캠도.
And so even if you keep it long time for like that, then it will wear off, right? It will become old, it will become weak, and then fragile, right? And it will not hold strong like before. So it gets wear off. So you can't keep it unchanging. It will change, right? You can't keep it like new like all the time.
제가 다 지나서 변했다 누쇼바도 고피 잡히 세원로 마오로 가디나 레데 저 하고면도 당가도 납쇼 샤쇼 바이나 아니 제가 짠나 보러와 아니 로야드나 짝가오지 아니 대락 가디나 나보시고 아니 삼삼 되세 맞잖아 아니 디바라 짠 까오사와 젠 나보면지 드리 마블레기도 제가 던져 코로 되세 누네스 코런 제가 가도 너나면 제스캠도.
So like Westerners, you have a lot of blonde, or yellow blonde hair, or gray hair, right? Already, you don't realize, when your hair becomes gray. When you get a white hair, you don't realize that. But Easterners, like we have a black hair, So when you get a white hair, you recognize it immediately. And even there's one single piece of white hair, you see it. It's very obvious. And so then they start to put hair color, to hide it. But there's nothing you can do, really, right? It's natural. It's the reality. As you grow older, the hair becomes gray, or white, and then eventually it will all fall off. And that's the reality. There's nothing you can do about it. So no point worrying about it.
세상아도 다 상마요 내려 봐 녀마도 그래. 저도 녀마도 왜냐면은 다대 공로야 등록이 시작하고 그 잘라대게나 가로 니마 차로 계세레스. 대인가도 제약해면도 너는 만드나.
And then as you grow older, you get more wrinkles on your face, right? Wrinkles on your forehead, especially, is very obvious, right? There's nothing you can do. And as you grow old, that's the sign of growing old, right? There's nothing you can do about it. It's the reality.
제가 샤지도는 바꿔잖아. 그때 두어로도 하더니 반태야죠로 차로도.
Then some people, what do? They stretch it. Stretch, is it? Stretch to get rid of the wrinkles, or do surgery. And it get even worse, right?
제장도 의내서 강 연바디 하코에나 아주 하코 이렇게 되나 땅아주 가로 될라 켈 말린 바다 야무나 용어 맡아 봐도 띵강에 되거든.
And so that's the reality, So we just live with that. It says, okay, that's it. That's what happens. And I'm growing old, so I'm getting white hair and I'm getting wrinkles. That's reality. That's natural thing. If you think like that, no problem. But if we don't, so usually we know that. We know that. It's not that we don't know. We know that, but we can't accept it. So, oh no, I'm having wrinkles. I can't. We're not accepting it, right? And because of that, then we try to do all sorts of things, go against the nature, to do different things, and that gets even worse.
제자배는 아주배나 뉴잉글랜드에나 건강 가져는 아주 멕시코 세명감라는 건데 다그 뉴잉글랜드에서 해도와 제자 아니 간제 수수가 액셉트나 강에도 총도도.
So if like they said that when you have snow in New England, right, in like Boston area, if you have snow, like kind of foot or more of snow, there's nothing surprising. People accept it, nothing else. But if you were to have even like inch of snow down in the south, they will all get very freaked out.
제가 아니 뭐네서 된 아주 캘린터와이나 하고와지 캘린터와이나 아니 나라서 예린이를 강에다 마부 파세로 들어와.
So I heard like if there's an inch of snow in North Carolina, they will all the city will be closed. nobody will be able to allowed to drive in the city. Is that right? So if you understand the the situation and then you accept it, then that's okay. So here you understand that, you accept it, no problem. Down there they don't accept it, so it's a big problem.
오케이, 제가 단 네가 가르나 간지 깽에 가르이 쇼와였나야. 대 재미 깨면은 쇼와 말이데. 제가 가와 쇼는데 아니 지금 시몬베 원기 레사 레팅인 레버터면 거래. 다 도동 로테 고 당이 파라파라 마보시네.
So of course, all this, comes from the ignorance, so especially the grasping of the self, the ignorance of grasping of the self. And with that, because of that ignorance, then we create a karma, and as a result of the karma, we experience all these problems.
Okay. 제가 다디 도동로들에 간지 아니 깽이 상절로나 텐디 깽이 쇼와나 간지 대가 값소수 세 마트고지고 그래서.
And so that's converting the unfortunate circumstances into path to enlightenment. And so that's what it is. But mainly it's like making sure that doesn't affect our mind.
대한 내가 제주도 가려는 딩에랑 가도 다 돈에 뭐 먹고라 다 현지 동안에 가라 영화 쇼네 대화도 전에 때는 가도 딱 가자 봐 모셔 들어왔어.
So of course, we have also done all this meditation on the Tonglen, right? Taking and giving, we sort of boasted ourselves. I'm going to take the suffering of others and I'm going to give my happiness to others. We have boasted like that, right? Have you been boastful like that?
다 수수치 리더 생각하게죠. 단데 가라게 오니 레와 잡았다 따단 접송. 단 대단 대타고 소야 마용 와쇼. 아니 나라 단데 고야지 총송 아니 나랑게 랭아바사에 드바데 다소 아니 젤라이 펜토 총소 사바이나 아니 셈라고 가지 프로젝트 가지 소수의 exception은 장도와.
So because you have done that, right? When you have done that practice of taking and giving, so taking the suffering of others, and then when you face these sufferings or problems, then you should be even happier. Oh, this is so good. That's what I've been practicing. That's what I've been meditating, and now I'm experiencing it. Oh, this is so good. Like that. Then you can even rejoice and even enjoy, with the suffering that you're facing.
제가 아니 나 단단문이 지 돈에 단 대단 대답 술을 마용 와쇼 삼 아니 고바이나 때 휴점으로 오더라.
So then it's like my wish is fulfilled. I wish to take the suffering. Now I'm experiencing, I'm so happy. My wish is fulfilled, like that. You can think like that. And then on the other hand, also you think that this is, just like I don't want to experience these sufferings, you can think of others. May others not experience the kind of sufferings. So by thinking upon oneself, then you can have sympathy on others.
제가 아니 강에데 exception이야 타야 탑이셔거다. 양 다를 왔다때 다 인이 exception서 대대요 말이지.
And so of course, once you have accepted it, then you have to look for a means to get rid of it. You can't just, if you just accept it, then you just sit like that, then it won't help. So you have to, yes, this is good, I have it now. How do I get rid of it? Like that.
제가 가도 뉴잉글랜드 보스턴이야 군가 강자그래서 참에 엑스비어래 이나야 강하게 강에들 세야겠다. 소소그 비 스노볼 녀야당 샤벌 녀야당 찬요 강가 tradition데요. was.
It's just like, we accept the snow, plenty of snowfall in the winter in New England, but we don't sit there and say, oh yeah, it's going to snow, and just sit there. We don't do that, right? We buy the snow blowers, we buy shovels, we buy salt, and we do all the things, to make our ways, to be able to go around. So it's just like that.
다 셈라 다내 정화대 아니 소소가 내 랭아바 사시빈 되고 다 멤버래 멤버 딜라 파버래 야보 총삼 내 exception하나 고강이 제일 로우 말했어 이나.
And so in the mind, if we think, this is something that I have created the cause for myself, so and this, this has happened, because of my own karma, and it's good that it happened now, like that. And if you accept it in that way, then your mind, your worry will not increase at least.
Okay. 되는 것도 말을 나 쿠체서야 무체서도 그대나 카파 얘기했어.
So instead of blaming to our own karma, our own action, we usually blame to others. Oh, because of he, because of her, like that. We always blame to others. That only increases more and more problems to ourselves.
아니 대걸로 삼나다나 아니 것도 쉬운줄 내가 두바데 로나네 야보쇼요래.
And so that in that, of course, it will be very helpful to read the 6th chapter of the Guide to the Buddhist's Way of Life.
Okay. 다들 맞징에 장전라도 저 고중 매화로 차서 당가도 슈마테야 배제 차단 로드나 고림보이도 아직 노동으로 지지 제가 답시적인다.
So that's what it is about the converting the unfortunate circumstances into the path to enlightenment. So we'll go. We just had a general general talk about it, but we'll go and maybe more particular, because just like it is in the text.
단도 지금도 제가랑 아주 소소그 셈라 알레타 도동 로지나 때 내린도 삼정가도 셈에 샤트는 되거든. 이거 그래.
So in short, if you can understand what it is, what is the converting unfortunate circumstances into path to enlightenment? What is that? If you just understand the gist of it, then that's good enough.
아니 나도 배나 제만 로지인데 감백이 장 어떠셔나 피 내가 말와 거가 간주면 토도 그래. 근데 많이 받지. 아니 나도 직 잘라 롬바로 직 도도 장을 코 피 잘대로 대로 나도 셈나 때는 잘고 그랬어. 잘했지.
It's like if you throw a handful of beans in your hand on the wall, it will not stick to the wall, right? It will spread everywhere. So, but if you have something wet, stuff, maybe a door or something, if you throw it to the wall, it will stick to the wall. So something like that, you have something to stick in your mind.
Okay. 제자 안에 레레 탐주 찍란다 소리나 아라치바데 젠데데 껴려샤 스타테고로 고서.
So like it said in the text, blame everything to one. So for everything, whatever bad happens, it's all because of the self-cherishing attitude. So it says blame everything to one.
다때가자 돼야 다 미시모병 오잖아. 합삼저도 시즌에 가지는 지금 말와.
And of course, that is also done, out of ignorance, without knowing what the reality is. Nobody does it intentionally, unknowingly.
제대로나 나라서 계제 세다 남주 때다 내가 제다가 뭐 컨트롤라뇨 저도 컨트롤라뇨 해.
So you have made other people become angry from the way you do the things, from the way you say the things, say about things. Have you made somebody angry like that?
제가 주 담보 삼을 다 대ring에 코 컨트롤라 저거도 끊어주는 매와.
So from your way of saying or way of doing the things, people become angry at you, right? But did you have intention saying, okay, today I'm going to make him angry for that? So for that reason, I'm going to say things in this way. I'm going to do things in this way. Have you planned like that?
내가도 강가 요 말이 제자 아니 나도 참아 나도 내도 메카지 뭐 나도 잠블이 미 강가 가지 미시 뭐 보고 전에 가는 죽대가 왔어.
So yeah, like that. We don't have a plan, We never plan like that, but out of ignorance. So all the people in the world, who do things, out of ignorance, and then create a problem, for ourselves and others.
Okay, like that. Any emergency questions? Emergency question is very special. 다 대화면 저기도 다 지나서 곰대 대소시나 다 단단군의 망치 수소 나올 때 되어서 대소시나 곰대 잡쇼와.
So it's good if you don't have a question, and that means you understood very well. So if you have a time, try to focus more on your meditation, especially at this time when you are by yourself at home.
Okay. 용탈 앞에는 가서 배나 배에 가디나 만대도 오만 빼모 옴타르듯이 뇌대도 곰 맞아왔나 그 칼 대파 여부채요.
I have a question, Geshe-la.
Okay.
So you went over the 8 worldly concerns, like hope for praise and fear of blame, and you said it was like for self-grasping. What about like avoiding both of those opposites? Is that still like grasping at self, like preventing yourself from going through the 8 worldly concerns?
먼저 직전 쪽에 열어다. 떠난 거 매나 메가 왔어요, 열어. 근데 다 맞아 나중에 진행 지거랬어.
야야 나도 쉽죠.
다 Tora Matana, Casa Toratana, Megayatan, Tora Meratana, Casa Medugiadi, they are the Mazin which you were.
제가 간도 슉 첨부 매와인서 되게 노게 말해. 샘나고 저왔다 도게 말해.
So they Carson Gazo, then Maze Carsa, the big Toratana Gabo Mayata, Go Casa Go Mayata, and then Meratana, the woman young, Tabsi Jajora, Tida than Mazon Greves.
되게 간호.
Maze Merati Yamara.
아니 되게 가오 마요 왔다 가로다.
네. Tamara, then makes them a Toratana Gagrisara, Narata. Ganan, go chair Yomares. Go chair Yomares.
아니
Some
다들 야.
and that is the Nazion Gogores.
대대로 변해. 들이제다 타고 또라다나 말 쿠도라는 가야 야른 저와다 메라다 둔로에 말 들이삼나다나. 딜랜드 가로다.
Then Mazi Reves.
대간도 슉 채우면 대 아니 간쪽이 슉 채우면 그거 응원에서 다 거는 연구였어. 대간도 말어왔다. 간도 슉 채우면 연구야.
So you mean like, if somebody praise you, then you become happy, right? Usually. And then you say, oh, it's no point being happy. If somebody praises me, it's not good to be happy. Like, if you think like that, is that from the self-grasping also? Is it like that? Is that your question?
That's what I'm trying to ask. Is that still self-grasping? Like if I'm still trying not to
Be happy when somebody
have a
praises you?
reaction towards going towards the praise.
제가 대요나 아니 응원에서 다 고요. 응원에서 다 고요 따르스.
So like, if somebody praises you, then you don't become happy. If somebody just criticizes you, you don't become unhappy.
Yeah, like do you stay?
Is that also self from the self-grasping also? Is that what your question is?
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, so Geshe is saying that, so if you are able to think like that, that means you don't have strong self-grasping.
Okay.
If you don't have the strong self-grasping, then you'll be able to think like that.
Okay.
So otherwise, people who have a strong self-grasping will always think that will always be happy when somebody praises, and will be unhappy when somebody criticizes. But if you're able to control and say, oh no, there's no point being so happy, and then there's when somebody criticizes and then you say, oh, there's no point being unhappy. If you're able to do that, that means then you don't have a very strong self-grasping. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas. I hope everyone has a wonderful time. And I'm sure next year we have big party and Christmas time. All come together, okay?
Summertime.
Thank you, Geshe.
Okay, thank you, Tan. Thank you, Tan. Thank you. Okay, now we pray, finish.
Saji perki juxing me tok tram re rab ding jing ni de gien pa di sangye jing du mig te uwagi drokon nam dag jing la chur pa shu je tsun la me kutse rab ten ching nam ka trin le chok chur ge pa dam lo sang ten pedren me sasum gi dro e mun sel ta tu ne gyur chig idam guru ratna mandalakam hiryatayami. From my two collections, vast is space that I've amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time. May I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose mind's wisdom eye has been blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings for the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold the Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time. By even this graded course to enlightenment completed due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes an effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, May they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. In that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig remain in life till samsara's end. Savior of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who extensively clarifies the path that unifies emptiness and compassion to the lotus in the hand, Lord Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be fulfilled. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as a bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Through this virtue may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha's state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that state. Precious supreme Bodhi mind, may it where unborn arise, and where born never decline, but increase forevermore. Ik meet se waiter chen rezik, remake pei wang po jong pelya, gong chen ke pei su gen Tsongkhapa, lo sang drang pei Jabba Solwade. Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, Damtula.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Geshe, thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you.
A wonderful day.
Thank you, Geshe.